Part 142. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1411. You said, you saved a demon cultivator in the sea. The water incarnation was stunned. The demon cultivators in Yao realm basically returned to their home sect in Yasha realm. Now that there are no barriers between the major realms in the mortal world, the demon energy in Yasha realm is more suitable for their cultivation. Moreover, Yasha realm is not connected to the sea, so how could it be rescued from the sea? Could it be? A dangerous thought arose in the water incarnation. The changes in the spiritual world forced him to think so. Yes, that demon cultivator is very powerful. He said that he came from the other side of the sea, and then encountered a deep-sea giant monster. He finally escaped. When I rescued him, he was seriously injured. Not only the water incarnation, but even Mengwei and Sun Qiniang looked at each other. Where is he? The water incarnation asked immediately. He is practicing sword with Elder Yet. Elder Yet is Yezi. The water incarnation winked at the other two women, and then said to Yu Lingshan, then take me to see it. I have been to almost all of the mortal world, but I have never seen the other side of the sea. I will ask him for some information. Okay, I tell you, Uncle Xuxian, he knows a lot. Yu Lingshan forgot about wanting to watch Sun Qiniang and Mengwei fight. Seeing that the water incarnation was interested in the people she rescued, she naturally felt a sense of accomplishment. Really? The water incarnation responded lightly and followed Yu Lingshan. Sun Qiniang and Mengwei looked at each other and deliberately slowed down. Qiniang, is it possible that you are from the spirit world? Mengwei asked in a low voice. I heard from Brother Yuan that the sea is extremely large, and the middle is the spirit world. Our Dongfan world is located in the east. The demon cultivators who came here may be from other mortal worlds, but I think the most likely one is from the spirit world. Demon cultivators from the spirit world. Mengwei's heart moved and he whispered. Yes, after all, it is not so easy for the spirit world to come to the mortal world. If we hadn't walked from the cliff of heaven this time, we might have come back from the sea inexplicably. Sun Qiniang knew more than Mengwei. Anyway, be careful about everything. Although everyone's realm in this mortal world is suppressed to the nascent soul stage, what if this is a powerful person in the spirit world? In terms of means, it is not a little more than us. The two women were discussing, and when they stopped, they were already at the Magian cliff. They all looked strange. Yu Lingshan didn't notice anything, but jumped with her water incarnation and walked towards the direction of the downhill road. Elder Ye is leading people to practice swordplay down there. The water incarnation grabbed Yu Lingshan. This has always been a forbidden area of the spirit sword sect. Yes, Yu Lingshan blinked, seeming a little puzzled as to why the water incarnation would react like this. Okay, let's go down and take a look. This made the water incarnation feel even more abnormal. This is where Mengwei was trapped before. And similarly, this is also where he and Sun Qiniang teamed up to fight Jian Tianming to death. After walking for a while, they finally reached the bottom of the valley. In the valley, the fog remained. The two women stopped outside the fog, while the water incarnation followed Yu Lingshan into the fog. The water incarnation was extremely alert and carefully held a talisman in his hand. As long as there was something wrong, he would activate the talisman. This fog would isolate spiritual consciousness, even he would be affected. The formation created by Tang Tiangang was indeed powerful. Nothing happened after passing through the fog. In the center, the stone pillar was still there, and Yezi's voice was heard. The water incarnation was stunned. Was it just practicing swords? He felt something was wrong, but he didn't see it, so everything was false. Elder Ye, big devil, I'm coming. Yu Lingshan suddenly shouted as he passed through the fog. The water incarnation looked up and saw two figures, but they were standing opposite each other behind the stone pillar. When they heard Yu Lingshan's voice, they all looked over here. Zuyun, why are you back? When Yezhi saw the water incarnation, he was also very happy and hurried over to greet him. He was originally in the Seven Stars Gate, and later he followed Lian Nishang to Yunzhou and stayed there again. But Lian Nishang didn't want to stay here, as the two of them practiced different ways. Yezhi was a sword cultivator, and the influence of spiritual energy was not very great. Lian Nishang only had fire spiritual roots, and if she wanted to go further, she had to go to a place with more spiritual power. But no one accompanied her back to Dongshenjing, so she took the Chuzhu route and returned to the Fire Dragon sect. These days, Yezhi has been practicing hard in seclusion, and finally cultivated to the late stage of the nascent soul. So he didn't know that the water incarnation had brought back a group of demon saints. Who knew that Yu Lingshan brought back a person who was said to be of great origin, and asked him to teach the sword. Yezhi brought him here. However, he also kept a watchful eye. In addition to teaching the sword, he also observed the other party from time to time. But time is short, only a few hours, what can be seen? Yezhi turned his back to the man, and winked at the water incarnation while talking, which made the water incarnation immediately alert, and at the same time understood why he taught the sword at the bottom of the sword-confusing cliff. Yezhi also suspected the identity of this big devil. However, he was unmoved. After greeting Yezhi who was coming towards him, he walked towards the man. I heard from Miss Yu that she picked me up in the sea. Yes, the man smiled and said, if it weren't for Miss Yu, I might have become food for fish and beasts. Fortunately, nothing happened. My name is Zuyun, what's your name, fellow Taoist? When saying his name, the water incarnation focused all his attention on the other person's face. Those who come from the sea are either from the spiritual world or cultivators from other mortal worlds. But Zuyun has been to other mortal worlds, and many people have built sculptures for him. Therefore, cultivators from the mortal world should know him. So its fellow Taoist Zhu, the man was unmoved, cupped his hands, and smiled, I am a demon cultivator, and the big demon is just a joke from Miss Yu. My surname is Leng, and my given name is Bing. I come from the northern mortal world. The northern mortal world? The water incarnation frowned. He actually said he was from the northern mortal world. In the northern mortal realm, the Luyun sect is the only one in power, and he and the Luyun sect also have a great relationship. Lu Ruyan, who is famous in the northern mortal realm, also reached the spirit realm and found Ye Yuan with his help. Moreover, under his leadership, all the sect forces finally reached a consensus and united to completely open the passage to the spirit realm. He said his real name, but he didn't react at all. So, the water incarnation's eyes flashed, and the talisman in his hand suddenly stretched out. A word of entanglement rolled towards Leng Bing. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1412. As soon as the water avatar moved, Leng Bing also moved quickly. He had already seen that Zuyun might have suspected him. However, no matter how strong he is, this is the mortal world after all, and his strength is also limited. Therefore, he took action against Yezhi. An ice pick suddenly appeared from his hand and was placed on Yezhi's neck. Zuyun, if you dare to move, I will kill him. Guoziwan does no actual damage, it just traps Leng Bing in place. But he could still control the ice pick with his spiritual consciousness, and the tip of the ice was already pointed at Yezhi's throat and sunk in. As long as the water avatar makes any movement, he will definitely stab Yezhi directly in and kill him. The water incarnation sees very clearly. Above the ice tip, there were dots of black light. Although it is inconspicuous, it is an extremely pure demonic energy. After such evil energy enters Yezhi's body, it is entirely possible to destroy Yezi's nascent soul and Zi mansion. On the side, Yu Lingshan was completely stunned. The water incarnation narrowed his eyes and said, "Are you a demon cultivator from the spirit world?" "Boy," Leng Bing said noncommittally, "how did you know that I am from the spirit world?" "Because you are not from the Bifan realm at all." Interesting. Hearing the affirmative answer of Water Avatar, he grinned coldly, "But just because you attacked me just because of this, it shows that you are too careful. So, you are also back from the spirit world." He specifically used the word come back because he learned a lot about the mortal world from Yu Lingshan. And since the water incarnation is so close to Yu Lingshan, he can also guess something. But the answer given by the water incarnation was still unexpected. "I came back from the spirit world, but the important thing is that I have been to the Bifang realm. And, many monks in the Bifang realm recognize me." "Interesting," Leng Bing said with a gleam in his eyes, "I have never heard of your name in the spiritual world. When did a rising star in the mortal world have such ability?" "My abilities are great," Shuawawa laughed, as if he didn't care about Yezi's life and death at all, and said loudly, "Not only the North Mortal Realm, I have also been to the other two mortal realms. Moreover, you guys from outside the sky being woken up in the sky is also my handiwork." Sure enough, as soon as these words came out, Leng Bing's expression changed. The water incarnation sneered and said, "I destroyed the ascending immortal platform and the ascending immortal secret realm. But what I didn't expect was why you big demons who live in seclusion and concentrate on seclusion would come to the mortal world. The big devil in Yu Lingshan's mouth is just a title. But the big devil in Shui's mouth is tantamount to pointing out Leng Bing's identity. A demon cultivator who has practiced to the extreme." This was what he wanted to know. All in all, a powerful demon cultivator came to the mortal world, got close to Yu Lingshan, and infiltrated the Lingjian section. What was he doing? There are changes in the spiritual world, but it is not like this. Moreover, they are probably monks who have no hope of ascending to the secret realm of immortality. They may even be just one step away from ascending to the immortal realm. Otherwise, like other monks, he would go to the secret realm of immortality to look for opportunities. "Boy Zuyun," Leng Bing's expression became much more solemn and he said, "I don't need to explain to you why I came to the mortal world. But if you and I are in harmony with each other, is there no need to go to war? Give in?" The water incarnation pondered for a moment, and then said, "Yu Lingshan and I have a close relationship. The Lingjian sect is the sect where I embarked on my journey to immortality. I don't allow anyone to have the idea of destroying it." "I see." Leng Bing was straightforward. When he heard Zuyun's words, his eyes just flashed with light, and he quickly took a few steps back to show that he had no intention of becoming his enemy. After seeing that the water incarnation did not push towards him, Leng Bing smiled bitterly and said, "Do you think I want it?" The secret realm of Xianxia collapsed and many evil cultivators exploded. They may have thought that an opportunity had come, so they started to massacre us. The monks who practice the 8 classics, we demon cultivators have always been solitary, and we will be the first to become their dead souls. If we don't escape to the mortal world and blend into these ordinary sects, we won't be able to survive at all. What did you say?" This time, it was the water avatar's turn to be surprised. "Judging from your reaction, you must know about evil cultivators." Leng Bing sighed and said, "I have no choice. The secret realm of immortality is in Kunlun, and Kunlun is a flying mountain outside the sky. It is extremely mysterious. The reason why many evil cultivators hide in Kunlun is because Kunlun has a kind of the inexplicable power can prevent heaven from discovering them. Now that the secret realm of Xianxia has been destroyed, the mysterious power in Kunlun seems to have become stronger. After dispersing, it makes it difficult for heaven to detect those evil cultivators. This is to make evil the reason why cultivators began to slowly appear in the spiritual world. Once the evil cultivators came out, the spiritual world, would be in chaos. Otherwise, I wouldn't have traveled across the ocean to come to the mortal world despite the damage to my cultivation. Are you serious about wanting to practice swordsmanship? Water Incarnation only felt that his brows were beating continuously. Of course I'm serious, but I didn't expect to meet you. The Water Incarnation was silent for a moment and said, "How can I trust you? I can swear an oath of heaven." The Water Incarnation sneered, "I don't believe this stuff, can you believe it yourself?" Len Bing was speechless, and then said, "Then I have no way to make you believe it. If you want to fight or make peace, it's up to you. Although I, Len Bing, am not strong enough, I am not without the means to protect myself in this mortal world. Strength. It's nothing more than a further regression in cultivation." The Water Incarnation suddenly laughed, and the sound spread beyond the mist, attracting Menghui and Sun Qiniang to rush in. Seeing the situation in the formation, they were also on high alert, staring at Len Bing. So there are helpers. The two fairies are very impressive. They must be cultivators from the spiritual world. Len Bing's face was ashen. The sword in Sun Qiniang's hand and the fire in Menghui's hand. He could see that they were definitely not ordinary items. "You are wrong," the Water Incarnation laughed, shook his head, and said, "If you join the Spirit Sword sect, I Zuyun will welcome you. However, when facing the evil cultivators, I hope you can fight for the Spirit Sword sect." "What do you mean?" Now, it was Len Bing's turn to ask back. The Water Incarnation raised his eyebrows and said, "The Spirit Sword sect once fought with an evil cultivator, and finally killed the evil cultivator in this eastern mortal realm." "Impossible, absolutely impossible," Len Bing said loudly, not believing it at all. "What kind of existence is an evil cultivator? Not to mention the strength, just the scheming, how can a small cultivator in the mortal realm deal with it?" The Water Incarnation knew this and joked, "I wonder if the senior Len has heard of Yao Fuzong." Len Bing exclaimed, "Yao Fuzong of the 10,000 Demons evil cultivator? It seems that you know him, so I can't be wrong." The Water Incarnation smiled brightly. "You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1413. Yao Fuzong is dead? Are you sure? Len Bing gritted his teeth and asked. "Zuyun's level is not high, which shows that he does not live long. And Yao Fuzong was a figure from thousands of years ago. If he could name it, it would prove everything. Of course, I saw him die with my own eyes. Pity." Len Bing's body trembled a little and said, "You won't die by my hands. He has a grudge against you." Now, the Water Incarnation became interested. "If there is a grudge, it is a mortal grudge. The Leng family of my Ice Demon clan was destroyed by his hands. Otherwise, as a demon cultivator, why should I hide in the outer world if I am not in seclusion in the Nine Netherland?" The water transformation suddenly came to mind, and at the same time he thought of another point, and said, "Does that mean that all the demon cultivators who are in retreat in Tianweishan are caused by the annihilation of their clans by evil cultivators?" "It's not bad," Len Bing sat on the ground and said dejectedly, "You didn't live in that era, so you don't know how terrifying evil cultivators are. Back then, if the good and the evil hadn't united, the spiritual world would have become the back garden of evil cultivators. However, the price paid is also huge." Shuojia was somewhat interested in the past, so he simply sat down and motioned to Len Bing to talk. "Now that the evil cultivator has appeared again, perhaps these monks who have fought against the evil cultivator before can provide some help." He had fought with two evil cultivators, one was Yao Fuzong, and the other was Luo, immortal lord of the southern mortal realm. But no matter who it is it's not easy to deal with. They can do whatever it takes to cultivate, and they can hide their strength and bide their time and plan for tens of thousands of years. Sun Qiniang and Meng Hui looked at each other, and after letting Yeziyi leave with Yu Lingshan, they also sat down and listened quietly to Leng Bing talking about evil cultivators. At this time, Zhu Yun entered the mine. He didn't know that Yu Changkong had also come. During the conversation with Yu Changkong, he could see that there was still a kind of fear on the other person's face when he mentioned such a long time ago. It was enough to show that the monsters here left a deep impression on him. And since he can definitely be regarded as a monster, he can definitely use the totem pole to solve it. And, it doesn't take much time at all. Maybe a face-to-face meeting is enough. It's dark at this time and the sky is slightly bright. The night in Qingping Fairyland doesn't get dark just because the sun sets. But inside the mine, it was pitch black. Zhu Yun used the void-breaking spiritual eye technique and was able to see what was going on in the cave. The bottom of the cave is full of footprints, and the cave walls are full of traces of mining. At the same time, Zhu Yun also felt the mixed spiritual energy breath. These breaths were different from those in the air and were emitted by spiritual veins. Yu Changkong said that these monsters will appear at night, so we need to be careful. He has dealt with several waves of beasts, but all of them lost their minds. In the words of the immortal emperor, they were contaminated by demonic energy. Zhu Yun still had doubts in his heart. All the magical beasts in Qingping Fairy Kingdom surrendered to Xiaolu. Moreover, the monsters basically survived by hiding in the broken immortal river. So, are there any warcraft on this land? There was still too little information, but that didn't stop Zhu Yun from being extremely energetic. Zhu Yun's footsteps were not fast, and he was always paying attention to the situation around him. The deeper you go into the mine, the more intense the spiritual power you can feel. At the same time, the pseudo-immortal power will also be discharged from the mine by these spiritual powers. No wonder, Yu Changkong's strength was also affected, leaving an indelible impression on him. After walking for a while, Zhu Yun suddenly stopped and heard a slight sound. The mine was very quiet, and the slightest movement would be easily discovered, not to mention that Zhu Yun was very focused at this time. Over there. Zhu Yun used the shattering void spirit eye technique, and the darkness in the cave did not have much impact on him. But despite this, he also determined the direction from which the sound came, but after looking over, he saw no trace of any monster. Yu Changkong said that monsters appear out of nowhere. And he doesn't have night vision, so he can't see clearly what monster it is, but monsters that like to move at night are among the 12 monster clans. Nothing more than those kinds of things. Zhu Yun had already ruled out some of them, but after all, he didn't see it with his own eyes, so he didn't dare to draw any conclusions. After thinking for a moment, he walked over quietly. The sound only rang for a moment and then disappeared. Zhu Yun took a few steps and then stopped. No, no. Normally speaking, the monster suddenly stopped moving, so it should have discovered my location. But in itself, this monster has lost its mind, and it is impossible for it to think like this. What exactly went wrong? Zhu Yun just stood there, staring at the position he had determined. But suddenly, there was a ticking sound, as if a drop of water fell from the top of the cave. Zhu Yun was stunned for a moment, but then his expression changed. How can there be water in the mine? The hair on his body stood upright and he didn't even look up. He flashed and used teleport directly. At the same time, as soon as the sound of water drops started, a black shadow jumped down from the stone wall above his head, and his sharp claws cut through the place where Zhu Yun was standing before. Zhu Yun appeared in the distance and turned to look here. This is. After saying 2 words in shock, he immediately felt some evil energy appearing above his head. An ominous thought appeared in his mind, and Zhu Yun had no time to make any move, and teleported again. These monsters actually appeared in groups above his head. I was still careless. Zuyun teleported frantically, ignoring the consumption of the chaotic force in his body, and moved towards the outside of the cave. Since entering the cave, he had a preconceived idea that since the monster appeared at night, it must appear from somewhere, so it would make a noise. So, he kept using the breaking void spirit eye technique to look deep into the mine. But what he didn't expect was, the monster appeared at night. But it was always lying on the top of the stone wall cave. However, these monsters were so dark in color, with such a protective color, and connected to the cave wall, so it was difficult to find. What made Zuyun not recognize it for a while, what kind of monster it was. The situation was critical, so critical that he couldn't take a totem pole to test it. These monsters passed by and had already woken up, and their eyes were all glowing red. If he takes out the totem pole, it will take time. If he makes a mistake, he will be doomed. I don't know if it's because of the noise made by Zuyun or because the time is up. These monsters gradually woke up, opened their eyes one after another, and revealed their dark and deep eyeballs. Zuyun ran away. He ran all the way out of the cave, his chest heaving violently, and then he stared at the mine desperately. However, he also found something wrong. Monsters. Shouldn't they all have red eyes? Why, these monsters don't have them. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1414. Then, there is only one possibility. These are the demon dragon clan. Longwu told him. The demonic dragon clan is actually divided into many branches. However, in the end, they will become very similar to the real dragon in body shape. The immortal emperor once said that in the entire Qingping immortal kingdom, only the demonic dragon clan has escaped the contamination of the demonic energy. But only on the surface. The Lord of Dian City once appeared inexplicably in a place that was isolated from the world and filled with demonic dragons. The demon dragons of the older generation would go crazy from time to time because of their demonic energy. But the younger generation of demon dragons can't do it anymore. However, because of the protection of the older generation, it is extremely difficult for them to go to Qingping Fairy Kingdom to avoid being contaminated by the devil again. So, are the people in this mine also a branch of the demonic dragon clan? Just when Zuyun was extremely confused, footsteps suddenly came from behind him. He turned around suddenly and couldn't help being surprised. City Master, didn't you say that I can come alone? Bless you, fellow Taoist, these monsters come and go without a trace. I am still afraid that something unexpected will happen to you. Yu Changkong gave a wry smile. Zuyun set off earlier than him and was much faster than him. He thought Zuyun was still at the mine and had not entered. That's right, Zuyun didn't dwell on this. Since he's here, he just came and simply asked, if you think about it carefully, the injuries left by the monsters here back then, how is it? Yu Changkong couldn't see the monster, but Zhu Yonggang could roughly see its outline. He just wanted to make sure that the monsters inside were the ones Yu Qingtian encountered back then. In addition, is there any connection between this mine and the otherworldly place of the demonic dragon clan? Injury. Yu Qingtian recalled it carefully, but he also recalled a glance and said, there were many holes in my body at that time. How many holes are there at one time? 4. Upon hearing such an affirmative answer, Zhu Yun's eyes flashed. Although he hadn't looked carefully before, he could still somewhat notice that the monsters lying on the stone wall had 4 toes on each paw. No doubt about it. And demonic dragons are often like this. It can be seen from this that these are the branches of the demonic dragon clan. Then, using the dragon head pillar can solve this problem. As for whether these demonic dragons still maintain their minds, it doesn't matter to him. Anyway, as soon as the totem pole appears, it will have an immediate effect on them. In Zhou Gun's words, the totem pole is the ancestral monument of destiny. and the 12 demon clans are the beasts of the Destiny clan. City Lord Yu, please step back a few steps. Zuyun said calmly that the totem pole was of great importance. Although he trusted Yu Changkong, at least he couldn't let this trump card be shown to him yet. Blessings to fellow Taoist, Yu is familiar with this mine, so let Yu follow. Yu Changkong didn't know what Zuyun meant, and thought he wanted to enter the mine alone. City Master Yu, Zuyun smiled casually and said, you are outside, waiting for my good news. Hearing this, Yu Changkong was stunned, but before he could react, Zuyun had already left, apparently using teleportation, and broke into the mine again. Blessings fellow Taoist. Yu Changkong screamed, but there was no way he could catch up with Zuyun. First, Zuyun was much faster than him, and second, he had no night vision in the cave. In other words, the immortals in the entire Qingping Fairy Kingdom basically don't have night vision. After all, there is only sunset in Qingping Fairyland, but there is no night. What should I do? How about, I go in too? But those monsters. Yu Changkong was extremely anxious. He was worried about something happening to Zuyun, and he was also worried about something happening to him. But then I thought about it, without Zuyun, their great Chongqing city would not be able to resist the joint efforts of the other major royal cities. It's nothing more than dying early and dying late. It's better to place all your bets on Zuyun. Damn it, fight it. Yu Changkong was shocked and rushed in. Compared to Zuyun, he was more familiar with the mine. After entering the cave, he did not rush over. Instead, he rummaged around the entrance and found a torch, lit it, and then followed. I don't know how long this torch can last. Originally, he could use pseudo-immortal power to pour light into the immortal roots. But unfortunately, the deeper you go into the mine, the less pseudo-immortal power there is. In order to have some ability to protect himself, he could only do this. As the fire illuminated the cave, Yu Changkong also began to pay attention to the depths of the mine. There was no sound of footsteps. It seems that Zuyun used the teleportation ability of people outside the immortal world. Yu Changkong felt envious. If he knew how to do this, why would he be afraid? After shaking his head and sighing again, Yu Changkong used his pseudo-immortal weapon and chased after him closely. This section of the road is still the main mine, so there is no need to worry about getting lost. But as he went deeper into the mine, Yu Changkong found that the ground seemed to be shaking. This kind of vibration is very subtle. If you don't observe carefully, you won't be able to detect it at all. And the most mysterious thing is that the shock. It seems to be coming from above the head. Yu Changkong subconsciously looked up, and with the faint light of the fire, he saw what seemed to be small round holes on the top of the cave. It's like there are some bugs living in here. These little holes look familiar. Yu Changkong frowned, and suddenly a picture flashed in his mind, and then his face turned pale. Why are these holes so familiar? It's because it looks so much like the wounds left on his body back then. Suddenly, Yu Changkong stopped, his chest heaved violently, and a chill rose from the bottom of his heart. But at this moment, there was an even bigger movement deep in the mine. No, it's Zuyun's side. Yu Changkong quickly looked over there, but the firelight couldn't shine that far at all. No matter what, I didn't expect those monsters to be lying on the cave wall all the time. Yu Changkong gritted his teeth and continued to use the pseudo-immortal weapon to fly away quickly. Half an hour later, he saw a shocking scene. The firelight swayed his pale face. In front of him was the outline of a figure, and he knew it was Zuyun. At this time, Zuyun was standing still, with his hands behind his back. In front of him was a strange-looking pillar. At the other end of the pillar, there is a dense influence of monsters. The firelight was still not bright enough for him to see clearly what these monsters looked like. But the 4 sharp claws that were revealed made him recognize it. And these monster beasts are kneeling on the ground with great piety at this time, as if they are worshipping that pillar. Is this Zuyun's method? City Master Yu, Zuyun sighed at this time, why did you come in? Are you frightened? Yu Changkong touched his nose and said with a wry smile, Friend Zhu, it seems that my worries are unnecessary. After recovering from the fear, Yu Changkong knew that Daoking City might be saved. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1415. It's not that I'm scared. You has seen the world at least. It's just that I didn't know what kind of monster hurt me back then. While talking, Yu Changkong looked over there, but he still couldn't see clearly. The firelight was very weak and didn't shine very far. And the black monster was very close to the color of the stone wall of the mine. Fellow Daoists, which clan do these monsters belong to? Yu Changkong knew that he would not be in danger, and his curiosity arose, so he took the initiative to ask. The demonic dragon clan. Zuyun spat out 3 words, but Yu Changkong was shocked. Dragon. Only the older generation of immortals like them can occasionally hear about the demonic dragon clan. For example, those who were born in the Qingping Fairy Kingdom may have forgotten the existence of this clan. He squinted his eyes, but it was impossible to tell in the darkness that these monsters had the shape of dragons. Yes, the branches of the demonic dragon clan should be called spiritual stone demonic dragons. There was also a strange color in Zuyun's eyebrows. This name was told to him by the totem pole. The 12 totem poles already have their own spiritual intelligence, and after being completely subdued by Zuyun, they can be regarded as their masters. Zuyun knew that it was far more than that. For example, the relatively pure demon dragon clan lives in the demon dragon valley. And this spiritual mineral vein can lead to the demonic dragon valley. There is the place where the Lord of Dian City once visited. However, the Lingxi demon dragon king told Zuyun that because of their form, they were not accepted by the demon dragon clan. Therefore, it was impossible to take Zuyun to Demon Dragon Valley. Fortunately, Zuyun has no plans to go there for the time being. There are a total of 12 tribes in the Qingping Immortal Kingdom, and he can definitely subdue the other demon tribes first. Furthermore, the current predicament is that the other 3 royal cities are joining forces, and he is not sure that he can conquer the demonic dragon clan within 3 days. The demonic dragon clan is also somewhat different from other demonic clan in that they have the blood of the true dragon, and they have also inherited the arrogance of the true dragon clan. Human race. Maybe they will look down on it from the bottom of their hearts. Even though they are actually one of the destiny ancestral beasts. Yu Changkong and Zuyun chatted one after another, but deep in the mine, there was still a spirit stone demon dragon slowly descending from the cave wall, and then climbed to the totem pole. The totem pole exudes a strange power, and one by one it is absorbed into the demon souls of these spirit stone demon dragons. With this power, they will no longer be disturbed by demonic energy and can always maintain their sanity. Finally, the night passed. There was no longer a spirit stone demon dragon lying on the cave wall. Zuyun then put away the totem pole and walked out of the cave with Yu Changkong. Tens of thousands of spirit stone demon dragons came out one after another and lay quietly on the ground. Lying at the front is a spirit stone demon dragon that is several feet tall. This is their demon king. After you follow me, wait outside the city. Remember not to act rashly, so as not to disturb the ordinary immortals in the city. Remember. Zuyun ordered to the demon king. Yes, master, we won't. The demon king's eyes were full of submission, and in the past they would not take the initiative to hurt others. Usually it's the demonic energy in the body that makes them a little out of control. Moreover, it is usually done by young dragons. Very good, Zuyun nodded and said, when this happens, you will know the benefits. The Demon King is extremely pious, and no good thing is as important as the totem pole. With the totem pole, they can get a complete inheritance and have the possibility to cultivate into a dragon-shaped demon dragon. With these tens of thousands of demonic dragons, Zuyun and Yu Changkong returned to Dao King City. To the north, there was a deep forest, and Zuyun asked all these demonic dragons to lurk there. At that time, we will definitely be able to give the three-city coalition a surprise. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days passed. Zhou ran back. Master, we are only 300 miles away from here. He is very fast and also has top-grade immortal roots. If he wanted to leave, no one would be able to find him. Zuyun stood up and looked at Yu Changkong. Are the spirit stones ready? After bringing back all the demon dragons in the mine, Yu Changkong sent many people to mine the spirit stones. Everything is ready, and all the spiritual stones on the road have been dug out. Zuyun's eyes flashed and he said, 300 miles, if they walk normally, it will take almost a whole day. It should be enough. City Master Yu, let all ordinary immortals and immortals with low-grade immortal roots hide underground. The rest of the immortal officials are leaning towards the north side of the city. Ergu, you go to the north forest and join those spirit stone demon dragons. When you hear my signal, lead them to fight out. Zhou Pao, you are responsible for protecting the snake demon in the west of the city. Zhou Gun, just follow me in the city and wait for those people to come. Seeing that these people had made arrangements, Sangu said anxiously, Master, what about me? You. Zuyun smiled slightly and said, I still have plans, just wait. The three dogs were immediately overjoyed and quickly turned into demon bodies and lay on the ground. It can be seen that everyone has left, but Zuyun has not heard a word, and he is the only one left here. He was immediately dumbfounded. But Zuyun didn't give any other instructions, and he didn't dare to run around. He could only lie on the ground and curse. Outside the city, Zhou Guan was pulling a cart. All of them are top-grade spirit stones. I'm going to set up the formation. You stand on the city wall. Anyone who dares to come will be killed without mercy. Zuyun's eyes unconsciously showed murderous intent. This time, he was going to set up an unprecedented Dozhuan Xinyi formation. There were hundreds of thousands of spirit stones, and there couldn't be any mistakes. He wanted to trap the coalition forces of the three cities in the city. Then, he would go in and defeat the three immortal kings one by one. As for the other immortals, it depends on the situation. Either surrender or die. He believed that many immortals were coerced, just like those in Dao City. It is no exaggeration to say that these people will provide some source power to the great universe world after Qingping Immortal Kingdom is integrated into the great universe world. In the long run, after Qingping Immortal Kingdom entered the great universe world, the fate of these immortals was closely tied to Zuyun. The stronger the great universe is, the stronger Zuyun will be. The stronger Zuyun is, the better the great universe will be to perfect the laws and the way of heaven. Only then will they be able to continue their cultivation and have the hope of ascending. Master, don't worry. If anyone approaches, ask the spear in my hand first. Zhou Gun stood on the city gate with his spear in his hand, like a statue, standing in the wind. There are only 2 of them left in the huge city. No, there are 3 dogs who are indignant in the city lord's mansion. Master, you don't say anything, just throw me here. When we fight, should I fight back, or fight back, or fight back? He has achieved the realm of the Demon King for a long time, but he has never been taken away from the great universe by Zuyun. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1416. Outside the city. 5 figures flashed and moved in the open space. In order to set up the fighting star transfer formation, Zuyun separated 4 incarnations of himself, plus his original body. Each body is responsible for a position. This time in the star movement formation, Zuyun also used the 5 elements law. The 4 incarnations plus the main body were each responsible for an area. When the water incarnation is no longer present, it is temporarily replaced by the original body. Jogun didn't squint his eyes, but his heart was already extremely shocked. Not only in the world of Dazhu, when he was following the immortal King Durong, he also had contact with some monks. A monk in the god transformation stage can only condense 1 incarnation. Zuyun. This own master can actually separate 4 bodies. It's simply unbelievable. Fortunately, I chose to follow him. Not only did he break through from the middle-grade immortal roots to the high-grade immortal roots, I felt great benefits from it. Moreover, this master is obviously not at the highest level, but the means he shows are so extraordinary. Facing the 3 cities joining forces, they were not afraid at all. Jogun stayed here for a whole day and night, and then he saw Zuyun stop with his own eyes. The 4 incarnations all returned to their original bodies. Joe Stick. When he heard Zuyun calling someone, he jumped down and arrived in front of Zuyun. Bring Sangu here, this bitch keeps scolding you inside. Yes, master. Joguan was meticulous, threw the spear away, and then stepped up. He can't fly, but he has learned how to control weapons. Soon, Jogun dragged the 3 dogs and threw them down from mid-air. Jogun, believe it or not, I will bite you in half. Sangu almost fell asleep due to scolding, but Jogun took him out. He didn't even know that Jogun thought Zuyun wanted to punish Sangu. Amidst the angry scolding, Sangu fell to the ground. Okay, you are my secret weapon. Zuyun squatted down and said with a smile. The 3 dogs turned over and sat up, their eyes full of surprise. Master, secret weapon. Of course, Zuyun smiled and said, wait, you will be responsible for leading people to the city, how about it? Upon hearing this, Sangu immediately became furious. Master, I didn't offend you. You didn't need to push me into the fire pit, right? These days, he knows very well what Dao King City is going to do. He is not afraid of fighting with the 3-city coalition. After all, there are so many helpers. Can you use yourself as bait to attract people? How can this work? I only have the Demon King realm. The 3 dogs shook their heads like a rattle. Okay, Zuyun smiled, touched his head, and said, don't refuse, there are so many people, and you are the only one who is the most suitable. No, this can't happen. Sangu was about to cry, but Zuyun's hand pressed on his forehead, and he couldn't run away even if he wanted to. Think about it, you are a dog demon, right? Those immortal kings will definitely be curious about why there are dog demons acting alone. Is it possible that the city has suffered a beast tide from the dog demon clan? As long as they are suspicious, they will definitely follow when you enter this formation, your mission will be completed. It must be possible to be so smart, right? Zuyun started to say good things, but Sangu also had a palace. Zuyun's words were so exciting that he did not dare to face these hundreds of thousands of immortals alone. If one person couldn't help but take action, his 3 dogs would become dead dogs. Master, no, how about you change someone else? Xiaohuo can definitely do it, he is already in the Demon Saint realm. Xiaohuo is too conspicuous. Besides, he doesn't belong to the 12 clans. Wouldn't he be discovered when he comes out? Zuyun shook his head. How could he change his long-planned plan because of Sangu's reluctance? Then Little Gray and Little Brown can do it too. They are horses. It's your horse. Zuyun cursed and said, Little Brown and Little Gray are both spiritual beasts. If they show up like this, they will definitely find out. There is no more suitable candidate than you. Okay, it's just you, this matter is done. Master, I cannot treat you badly. Sangu knew that he had no choice, and said with a sad face, Then this matter is done, Master, you have to help me and let me go to the Demon Saint realm. It's just the Demon Saint realm, Zuyun grinned, it's easy to say. It's a deal. Zuyun stood up and then said to Jogun, Now you and I are hiding on the city wall. Counting the time, it's almost time, right? While talking to Sangu, he could already feel the ground shaking slightly. It's only 20 or 30 miles away at most. Master, why did you choose him? Sangu is good, but after all, you have only been in the world of Dazhu for a short period of time, so it is normal for you not to know him well. Even though he is a little afraid of death, there are some abilities that, you and I are not as good as. What's the point? Jogun was stunned. He had always felt that Sango was not upright and did not look like a person who could do business. What a nose, Zuyun said with a smile, when I met him, he made a living by finding people, and he was very forbearing. Jogun, although the spiritual world's cultivation system is not as good as that of Qingping Immortal Kingdom, but in comparison people in the spirit world have their own methods. From now on, don't try to follow other people's rules. Master, don't worry. Jogun knew that Zuyun was trying to remind him and quickly expressed his stance. Zuyun nodded, and the two stopped talking. They lay under the wall and waited quietly for the three-city coalition to come. The vibration of the ground became stronger and stronger. They were on the wall and felt it more clearly than below. They looked at the gap and all their eyes were on Sango. Sango was walking back and forth, drooling, like a demonized dog demon. He has a talent for performance. Zuyun praised and stopped talking. He just watched quietly. Until a dark figure appeared in the distance, bringing endless dust. The three-city coalition finally came. The two looked nervous. Then Sango suddenly spread his limbs and ran over there. Not bad, he dared to take the initiative to attack. Jogun was surprised. He stared at Sango like this, but when he saw him rushing towards an immortal, he suddenly stopped and opened his mouth to bark. He also deliberately kept a certain distance. There is actually a dog demon. The beast tide is the nightmare of all immortals. But fortunately, there is only one dog this time. And there are hundreds of thousands of them. No immortal will be afraid. Some even took out their pseudo-immortal weapons and stabbed at the three dogs. But the three dogs are very flexible and have their own abilities. The immortals did not get the order to attack, and it was just such an ordinary stab, which naturally would not hurt the three dogs. And the purpose of the three dogs is actually to use their roars to lure out those immortal kings. Sure enough. After the sound was heard from afar, 3 immortal kings flew out from the crowd. But before landing, the 3 dogs turned around and ran. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1417. Sangu ran for a while and found that the 3 immortal kings just landed where he was standing, and stopped. He turned his head, showed a fierce look, and continued barking. This dog demon seems a bit strange. King Daiyu squinted his eyes and noticed something was wrong. It's just a dog monster, just let others kill it. Another immortal king said disdainfully, this encounter will cost them hundreds of thousands. Even if you encounter a swarm of beasts, you won't be afraid. Brother Nia, the last immortal king said, dog demons usually come in groups, but only one appears here. And look, this dog demon's eyes are not red. Could it be that he is not affected by the evil energy? You mean, something weird? The great Viet Immortal King also looked over, and was suddenly startled. Looking carefully, he did find that there was not even a trace of blood in Sangu's dark eyes. There is indeed something weird. Catch it first. After saying that, the immortal roots of Dao Immortal King appeared on his forehead. He stretched out his hand to grab a touch of pseudo-immortal power in the air, and covered it towards the three dogs. But Sangu's body is flexible, which is what Zuyun likes. As long as the opponent slightly underestimates the enemy, it is simply impossible to catch Sangu. The three dogs just took a step back and easily dodged the claw of the great Viet Immortal King, and then their barks became even more frantic. It's like swearing. In fact, he was really cursing in his heart, scolding these three immortal kings for being so troublesome and coming to catch me quickly. I'm just a dog. You are so scared. It's really different. This dog monster is very weird. Immortal King Dayan's light flashed, and immortal roots appeared on his forehead. However, he did not grab it from the air like Immortal King Dao. Instead, he stepped towards Sangu with his legs. The three dogs were overjoyed and wanted to run away, but it was obvious that Immortal King Darren was the only one there, so he had some concerns in his mind. After all, he is still in the Demon King realm. After dealing with an Immortal King, he should be fine, right? He leaned down slightly and made a gesture to pounce. Heh, a beast, you want to resist. Seeing that Sangu not only did not run away, Immortal King Darren showed a cruel smile. He had planned to kick all the bones in Sangu's body. However, there is no way Sangu will let him succeed. This preparation for the attack was just to confuse Immortal King Darren. Immortal King Darren came within a few steps and kicked Sangu suddenly. In his opinion, Sangu would definitely pounce on him desperately. Unexpectedly, Sangu suddenly leaned down, and his toes with pseudo-immortal power almost brushed his head. Then, the three dogs stood up, jumped out suddenly, and bit the inner thigh of Immortal King Darren with a fierce bite. Damn, these three dogs are so cruel. Zuyun couldn't see clearly. He only felt his crotch getting cold and couldn't help but pinch his legs. Jogun swallowed his saliva and thought to himself, had I been too harsh to him just now? How about I go and apologize to him after this thing is over? They say people cannot be judged by their appearance, and neither can this dog. Everyone under the master is talented. Ouch. Immortal King Darren was unprepared. He never thought that he would be tricked by a dog. Moreover, he does not have pseudo-immortal power to protect his body, and he does not take Sangu seriously. The body of an immortal is almost the same as that of a monk who has never practiced physical training. But Sangu, that's the Demon King realm. The sharp canine teeth bit the thigh and drew blood. It stands to reason that the instinct of the three dogs would be to shake their heads hard twice to use the force to tear the wound again. But his reason told him that he couldn't do this. After the three dogs gritted their teeth to the end, they quickly retreated. This dog demon is sane, catch him. It was clear to onlookers that the other Immortal King immediately realized something was wrong and ran towards the three dogs. A dog appeared outside Dao King City, but there was no movement in Dao King City. Not to mention that we should meet each other on both sides of the road. But at least we have to send a city lord to bring us in, right? It can be seen from this that there must have been an accident in Dao King City, and it has a certain relationship with this dog. Not only him, but also the great Viet Immortal King saw this, and gathered his pseudo-immortal power to catch Sangu. But at this time, Sangu finally spoke out. I'm a humming dog, but you guys are really not human. Bah. After saying that, he turned around and ran away. And this undoubtedly angered the two Immortal Kings. Don't let him run back. Catch him and understand the situation in the city first. The two Immortal Kings, walking as fast as flying, couldn't help but gasp when they passed by the injured Immortal King Darren. I saw Immortal King Darren curling up his legs and holding the injured area with both hands, but he still couldn't stop the bleeding and soaked the ground. Not only them, but even the immortals at the front were stunned. The dog demon can talk, so he must know our human weaknesses. So, immortal King Darren suffered an unspeakable injury. The news continued to spread backwards, and from time to time there were gasps. On the city wall. Master, the three dogs only attracted 2 immortal kings. Jogun frowned. Hey, that's enough. Didn't you see that 3 dogs injured an immortal king? That's enough, that's enough. Then when will we take action? Joguan clenched the pseudo-immortal weapon in his hand, feeling extremely hungry and thirsty. No hurry, let's see San go first, he will hide in the alleys later. The footpaths in the city were all dug up and renovated. Zuyun's goal was not only to kill the 3 immortal kings here, but also to take in all the immortals. The 3 dogs ran straight into the city gate, and after entering the city, they quickly turned into a house. Now, the 2 immortal kings immediately lost their target. At the same time, they also found that there was no one in the huge Dao King city. The streets were dug up and tattered, as if they had been through a war. But these houses were intact, which was very strange. Wait, no hurry. Dao Immortal King stopped his companions. Brother Yuan, why don't you let all the immortals in? The Immortal King was also extremely frightened. A city must have tens of thousands of immortals, right? They were gone just like that. Moreover, the Dao Immortal King was not seen. Could it be that he was also killed by this dog demon? However, there were no other dog demons in the city. Let them come in and search the city first. You and I don't need to take any more risks to avoid being tricked. The great Immortal King thought of the miserable state of the great Ren Immortal King and could not help but be more cautious. Although it was not fatal. But he lost face. There is no doubt that the Ren Immortal King lost the qualification to compete for the position of the Immortal Emperor. Losing prestige is not a bad thing for them. The great Immortal King turned around and ran out of the city gate, his voice like a bell. Everyone, enter the city quickly. At the command, all the immortals moved. And the great Immortal King also stepped forward and personally helped the great Ren Immortal King up, and carried him into the city. Until all the immortals entered the range of the formation and scattered towards the city lord to search for the 3 dogs, and then he stood up suddenly. Welcome everyone to the great King city. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1418. It's this kid. Seeing this familiar figure, Dao Immortal King shouted angrily, thinking of such a strange scene in Dao King city, how could he not know that Zuyun was behind it? Kill him. The other one was Dao Immortal King, who flew up, the immortal roots appeared on his forehead, and flew towards Zuyun. However, Zuyun stood firm and motionless, standing on the city wall, minding his own business and making formations. The color of the sky and the earth changed, and for a moment, the entire city of Dao fell into the void. Turned black. Thousands of stars rise from under your feet and then surround you. It's really your fault. Dao Immortal King roared angrily and swatted towards Zuyun. Bang! A golden light suddenly stabbed out from Zuyun's side, flashing with golden light and carrying endless murderous intent. Joe Stick. High-grade spear immortal root. Dao Immortal King exclaimed in surprise and hurriedly walked away. He kept thinking in his mind, is there anyone in Qingping Immortal Kingdom who has the highest quality spear immortal root? Generally speaking, people like this will be recruited by immortal kings like them. Why would you help Zuyun, a foreigner from the immortal world? Dao Immortal King, you are fine. Joguan missed the blow and stood beside Zuyun, looking at Dao the great Chongqing Immortal King with a half smile. Are you, a subordinate of the great Wrong Immortal King? You actually, I know, the great Wrong Immortal King died at the hands of this son. Dao Immortal King recognized Joguan, but he still couldn't believe it. Zhou Guan not only betrayed the wrong immortal king, but also broke through to the high-grade immortal route. You know too much. A joking smile flashed across Zhou Gun's face, and he pushed his legs hard and jumped out from the city wall, spread its wings. After breaking through the high-grade immortal routes, Zhou Gun didn't just hang around waiting to die. He practiced marksmanship every day and communicated with the three dogs from the spirit world from time to time. Although Sangu was once just the watchdog of the Fire Dragon sect, he also came into contact with many spiritual monks. The most common thing among monks in the spiritual world is their methods. Giving advice to Zhou Gun, who knew nothing, was somewhat qualified. Zhou Gun has figured out his own set of marksmanship. I saw him holding a gun in both hands, leaping high, and then slashing it down like a long knife. How brave! The Luo Immortal King suddenly stopped his move and fell downwards, but Zhou Guan took advantage of the force of his fall, and this move showed even more power. In desperation, he suddenly raised his hands and used his pseudo-immortal power to set up a shield of fairy light. Too late. Zhou Gun's eyes flashed, his body turned, and he stepped on Immortal King De Luo again. Not only did he want to knock down the great Luo Immortal King, but he also wanted to give him a naked insult. In front of hundreds of thousands of immortals, tell them that the Immortal King is nothing more than that. Zhou Gun, you are looking for death. The Immortal King of Dao also recognized Zhou Gun and saw his purpose. He roared and flew up, his forehead also glowing with golden light. It turned out to be a palm. The roar of anger shook even the thousands of stars, and even half of the bewildered immortals who were watching fell to the ground. The Immortal King of Dao stretched out his hand, and the pseudo-immortal power flowed around, forming a huge palm, and he grabbed it towards Zhou Gun. Your opponent is me. At this moment, Zhu Yun spoke up. Is that the palm? His face was solemn, and he also blasted out a palm. Chaos palm. A big grey hand met the palm of golden light. Boom. The palms intertwined and made a loud noise. At this time, all the immortals fell to the ground, and they all opened their eyes and watched this incredible scene. They all know that the Immortal King has some strength. But this foreigner from the fairy world actually took the initiative to meet him and evenly matched him. This is impossible. For a moment, there was hesitation in the eyes of these immortals. This time, the three immortal kings came back together, mobilizing them to fight for the position of Immortal King. If captured, they will all be the founding heroes of the country. He also said that the other immortal kings were fighting on their own, but they were the four kings joining forces. Moreover, after the fight is over, the four immortal kings will compete for the throne, and they will not be involved. In the end, whoever sits on the throne of Immortal Emperor will not be affected in any way. There is no doubt among these immortals. But now, a foreigner from outside the immortal world was fighting evenly with the great Viet Immortal King. Not to mention, Immortal King Darren was bitten by a dog earlier. What is going on? Are they all the Immortal Emperor's methods? Zhu Yun and Dao Immortal King were separated at the first touch, but their palms were still intersecting. The Immortal King of Dao continued to absorb the pseudo-immortal power in the air to fight against Zhu Yun. Zhu Yun also frantically circulated the chaotic power in his body, transferring the chaotic power of the chaotic lotus hearts into this palm. There is silence all around, you can hear a needle drop. Boy, unless the pseudo-immortal power in this world is not enough, but this is impossible, because the cultivation method of you immortal foreigners uses the spiritual power in the body, which is different from us. The Immortal King of Dai Viet obviously knew the monks very well and spoke with confidence. Yes, Zhu Yun looked calm as he took out a handful of spirit beads from his arms, but I have already prepared that the spiritual power in the spirit beads can also be used by me. I believe you can recognize these beads. The face of Dai Viet Immortal King changed. He naturally knew the function of spiritual beads, but usually these beads were just currency to them, but they ignored this. The spiritual world cultivators are not as good as them, but the opponent's methods are countless. Looking at the colorful spiritual beads, the face of the great immortal king also darkened. But he couldn't get away. If he left, Zhu Yun's chaos palm would immediately suppress him. With a glance from the corner of his eye, the great immortal king was already at a disadvantage. Zhou Gun's spearmanship was extremely exquisite, and every shot was aimed at the weakness, and the great immortal king was overwhelmed. Even if he used his magical powers to escape, Zhou Gun could catch up quickly. Because Zhou Gun also learned body skills. This is something that the great immortal king, who only relied on the richness of pseudo-immortal power to attack, could not match at all. At this moment, we can only rely on those immortals. The great immortal king immediately opened his mouth and roared, "Everyone listen to the order, quickly kill to the city wall." With an order, all the immortals in all directions, inside and outside the city, moved. They no longer went to look for Sango, but rushed here. "Boy, let's see how you deal with it. It's true that there is no difference between you and me in realm, but you will definitely not be able to withstand the crowd." Daio Immortal King showed a sarcastic look. Really? Zhu Yun was not afraid at all, stuffed the spirit pearl back into his arms, and then his hands quickly changed and formed a formation. "Do you think I am defenseless?" As soon as the voice fell, the stars moved. Thousands of stars turned rapidly. And the next moment, these hundreds of thousands of immortals were suddenly moved. Not only did they not know where they were, they didn't even know where Zhu Yun and others were. What kind of magic is this?" This time, the Immortal King was shocked. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1419. Magic. Zhu Yun smiled contemptuously, "This is a formation. The level of spiritual power in my spiritual world is not as good as the pseudo-immortal power, but my mysterious methods are incomparable to your Qingping immortal kingdom." As he spoke, he suddenly raised his hand again, taking advantage of the moment when the immortal king of Daio was lost in thought, and suppressed him a little more. Daio immortal king's chest stagnated, not good. He took a few steps back, barely able to slow down his figure, but the golden light palm condensed with pseudo-immortal power was somewhat suppressed by the power of chaos. Too late. Zhu Yun sneered. It wasn't that he looked down on pseudo-immortal power, but that the immortals of Qingping Fairy Kingdom had too single a method of fighting. He didn't crawl out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, but he came out of intrigues. How many times, with just the slightest carelessness, he would die. Facing these proud immortal kings, not only are they vulnerable, but they are also able to handle them with ease. No one in the fairy kingdom can match the timing of the battle. Zhu Yun took the opportunity to step forward and suddenly increased the output of chaos power. On the chaos lotus heart, 2 lotus hearts quickly lost their luster. The spiritual power of the 2 lotus hearts was drained out in an instant. This is equivalent to him using 2 chaos palm moves at once. The immortal king of Dai Viet was immediately defeated. "Damn it, do you think this is all I can do?" he roared in shock. He didn't expect this kid to be so cruel. He immediately shook his body and stamped his feet into the ground to make himself stand more stable. At the same time, the other hand was dancing crazily, attracting pseudo-immortal power into his golden palm. Unexpectedly. This is still Zhu Yun's plan. Ha ha ha. Zhu Yun laughed wildly, and suddenly made a fist with his free hand and punched it out. Green. Dragon. Fist. One word at a time, but the momentum is astonishing. After the words fell, Qinglong jumped out from Zhu Yun's fist. It's like a poisonous snake that has been waiting around for a long time comes out of its hole. Boy, you can actually do two things at once. Immortal King Dayo was shocked. This was almost impossible in Qingping Immortal Kingdom. Haha, Zuyun smiled faintly, so, don't underestimate me, a spiritual monk. So what if I'm not as good as I am? We have many means. This is the truth. When Zuyun is at his strongest, he can focus on 5 things and control 5 kinds of spiritual power. He had practiced the control of spiritual power as early as the pill formation stage. Not to mention, he is now in the God transformation stage and has 5 incarnations. The phantom of the green dragon bypassed the golden palm, opened its mouth, and bit the neck of Immortal King Dayo. He can't avoid it. Because in the last breath, he lowered his focus in order to withstand the suppression of Zuyun's 2 chaotic lotus hearts. At this moment, there is nowhere to go. The phantom of the green dragon quickly enlarged in his pupils. The gaping mouth and deep throat were like an abyss, swallowing him up. The immortal king of Dai Viet is no longer conscious. At this moment, Zuyun sneered, took out the hand that controlled the chaos palm, and quickly squeezed the formation formula. In an instant, the starlight flows and the stars shift. Hundreds of thousands of immortals appeared under the city wall at the same time. Let you see, this is the consequences of rebellion. Facing these immortals, Zuyun's voice is as loud as a bell. Those immortals, before they could recover from the sudden transformation, saw an astonishing scene again. I saw a huge green dragon devouring their supreme immortal king. Now, a head has completely entered King Glong's mouth. But it's not over yet. Zuyun sneered and punched again. White Tiger Fist. The phantom of the white tiger also jumped out like a blue dragon, and after landing, it suddenly bent its body. This was accumulating strength. Then, he jumped up and bit the lower body of the great Viet immortal king. 1 dragon and 1 tiger. 1 green and 1 white. It's like 2 ancient beasts fighting for prey. The immortal king of Dayo was cut in half and cut off at the waist like this. Under the city wall, there is silence. The Luo immortal king, who was constantly fighting with Zhou Guan, felt the drastic change in the pseudo-immortal power. He took one more look here and was suddenly horrified. Among them, the great Viet immortal king, who had the strongest frontal strength, died like this. At this moment of distraction, Zhou Guan's eyes flashed and he stabbed him with a spear. Poof! The tip of the spear passed through his throat. Ho! The Luo immortal king couldn't believe it. Zhou Gun is obviously just an inconspicuous subordinate of Derong immortal king. Even if he breaks through the high-grade immortal route, how can he be so strong? Not willing to give in. But so what? The Luo immortal king's consciousness gradually dissipated. He grasped the tip of the gun with both hands. Finally, he lost his strength and drooped. The Luo immortal king is dead. When the 3 dogs appeared, 2 of the 3 immortal kings were killed and 1 was injured, not even half an hour. Whether it's Zuyun, Zhou Guan, or Sangu, all of these subverted the perceptions of these immortals. The immortal king who was worshipped as a god is dead. Master, fortunately you have lived up to your command. Zhou Gun drew out the spear, then let go and threw it out. With a step into the air, he stepped onto the spear body, and the imperial weapon flew towards Zuyun. His voice was like a bell, not only to restore Zuyun's life, but also to tell these ungrateful immortals. Your immortal king was killed by me, and I am the subordinate of a foreigner in this immortal. Very good. Zuyun was very satisfied. Zhou Gun's behavior was very pleasing to me. He praised, and then looked at the immortals below. Looking down from a high place, it seemed as if he looked down on all living beings. You are all immortals of the immortal kingdom. Considering that you are not in control of your own situation, I will not vent my anger on you. But the death penalty can be exempted, but the living crime cannot be escaped. You must follow me to the imperial city and wait for the immortal emperor to decide. As soon as these words came out, the whole audience suddenly became agitated. But more people were worried that they would face the death penalty after going to the imperial city. Treason is a serious crime in the open. Even if Zuyun was right, they were not in control of their own situation. Silence. Zhou Gun landed on the city wall, and suddenly stabbed the spear with his gun, making a sound explosion. At the same time, he also revealed his immortal root. The upper-grade immortal root has an absolute suppression on them. Suddenly quiet. Zuyun smiled and said, I know what you are worried about, but along the way, you will encounter some immortals who don't know how to live or die and will go all the way to the end. At that time, it may be your chance to redeem yourself and make meritorious deeds. Don't you want to? This is Zuyun's real purpose. Give these immortals hope of life. Then, they will naturally stay. To put it bluntly, Zuyun played a trick at this time. The unpleasant words are that you want to be a whore and set up a memorial archway. But at the moment, it is the best choice. He can deal with the 3 city immortal kings. But what if the other immortal kings received the news and joined forces again to kill them halfway? This is a must. At the same time, he also has to screen these immortals. Select all the immortals who still have different intentions, and then eliminate them. After that, Zuyun pinched the array formula and completely removed the array of the stars. Watching the surroundings return to normal, the array no longer imprisoned them. The minds of some immortals really became active. However, Zuyun's heart is as clear as a mirror. Even the immortal King Deu has loyal descendants. How could the other immortal kings not have any? I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1420. Looking from top to bottom, you can clearly see the little movements of these immortals. Zhou Guan was a little better, but it was too far away to see clearly. Hundreds of thousands of people, crowded. But Zuyun used the divine eye technique. No one's little move can escape his eyes. However, he has more important things to do now. Kill the chicken to scare the monkey. Joe stick. Zuyun pursed his lips towards immortal King Darren under the city gate. Zhou Gun understood, raised his spear, and jumped down. Poof. The tip of the spear accurately pierced immortal King Darren's Adam's apple. Blood spattered 3 feet, Zhou Guang retracted his spear, but not a drop of blood was stained. The culprit has been killed. Next, what do you choose? Zhou Gun shouted, and Zuyun also continued, wherever you come from, you want to go back to where you came from. You can leave now. If you want to be guilty and meritorious, just enter the city. In order for these immortals to witness them killing the 3 immortal kings, Zuyun used a formation to move them all outside the city. Now that the formation is gone, if they want to enter the city again, they can only walk in. As soon as these words came out, many people moved. To be precise, the vast majority of people. These immortals are mostly under coercion. 100,000 years. Qingping Immortal Kingdom has always been controlled by the Immortal Emperor, and his power has never been left behind. Even if their ancestors were still on Qingping planet, their location was still under the jurisdiction of the Ji family of the Tianji sect. But 100,000 years have passed. These immortal kings are rebellious. There are many reasons for this. But more often than not, there is no hope of ascending. The will to practice has been worn away. Now, hope has returned, but the premise is that everyone must be of one mind and not ruin Zuyun's good deeds. So Zuyun also wants to get rid of these rebellious people. If the immortals want to ascend, doesn't he want to achieve a breakthrough? Although he has a good heart, he also knows that you can only do good things if you are worse than the evil people. Seeing the immortals rushing in, Zuyun winked at Zhou Gun. Zhou Gun understood, and he and Zuyun jumped off the city wall and walked towards the city lord's palace. Also at this time, among the crowd outside the city, some people stopped and turned away at the same time. Originally, they wanted to follow the crowd and sneak into the city to see the situation. But they were worried that Zuyun's method of moving the formation would trap them again. It was like trapping 3 immortal kings. Even the immortal king couldn't resist, let alone them. But at this time, Zuyun actually left and stopped looking at them. This is simply their chance. Go quickly. If you don't leave, you won't have a chance. I'll take out the fake ferry boat right away. I'm sure he won't be able to catch up. Oh, even if he catches up, he didn't arrange such a method in advance. How dare he attack so many of us? These people are all close followers of the 3 immortal kings. They are also their descendants. As long as they return to the royal city, they can be together. Because the royal city also has its own immortal formation to protect the city, does he, Zuyun, dare to fight back? With this idea in mind, one after another figures seemed to be swimming upstream, and at the same time they kept saying words to persuade, so that some immortals would follow them and leave. Among these people, there were also those who were wavering and turned around one after another. Among the hundreds of thousands of people, half turned around and left. And this scene all fell into Zuyun's eyes. Master, what you expected is correct. Can you send a signal to let the snake demon take action? Zhou Gun stood behind him, his eyebrows lowered and his head lowered. We'll talk about it later, Zuyun said expressionlessly. Half of them surprised him. Maybe some people will come back. Master, even if they come back, it shows that their determination is not firm enough. If someone confuses them in the future, they may become rebellious. When he said this, Zhou Gun couldn't help but compare himself with those people. They really knew their duties from time to time. Even if you run away, where can you go? The entire Qingping Fairy Kingdom is already in the Master's portable world. The grass on the wall is falling in the wind. Now for those grass on the wall, there is only a gust of wind. When our wind blows up, it will only be this gust of wind in the future. Zuyun said lightly. He needs the entire Qingping Immortal Kingdom, and no one has a second heart. It's not that he wants to be the immortal emperor. Rather, he wants to be the master of the entire universe. Only in this way can he harvest the power of faith from these people. Sure enough. When all the ordinary immortals entered Daoking City, the crowd was cut into 2 sections like a tide. People outside the city are particularly conspicuous. Some hesitant people walked very slowly and hung far behind the crowd. There were even people who peeked in the direction of the city gate behind them from time to time, seeming to be considering whether they could escape smoothly. The corners of Zuyun's mouth curved and he said to Zhou Gun, "Did you see that those people must have been coerced?" Zhou Gun said, "Perhaps they still have family members who are under the control of the royal city. A royal city has jurisdiction over 1,000 miles in area. In addition to the people in the city, there are also towns ranging from hundreds to thousands. Among them, there are many ordinary immortals. Although these immortals have immortal roots, they do not have the understanding and therefore cannot control the pseudo-immortal power. But as time goes by, there will always be people who have an epiphany one day and become immortals. These hundreds of thousands of people are all people who have demonstrated immortal roots." Zhou Gun, Zuyun suddenly remembered something and asked, "What do you think, if I can allow all immortals to open up their immortal roots, let them embark on the path of immortality, and use pseudo-immortal power, what will they think of me?" Everyone. Zhou Gun was shocked. How many people are there in the entire Qingping Fairy Kingdom? Master, this idea is unbelievable. Could it be that he wants to localize them one by one? Taking a deep breath, Zhou Gun said, "It can be called a feat. Everyone in Qingping Fairy Kingdom will regard the master as a god." A god. Zuyun murmured and suddenly smiled. If everyone can embark on the path to immortality, and it is in my universe world. The word God is used very well. Zhou Gun tasted the meaning of his words carefully, but then he heard Zhu Yun speak again. Go ahead and protect the immortals who want to stay. Zhou Guan was shocked, bowed, and said, yes, master. After that, he swung his spear, stepped up, and flew directly above the 200,000 immortals. On the forehead, the immortal root lights up. He wants to have higher grade immortal roots to overwhelm all sentient beings. This is the last chance. Those who want to stay, turn around and face Dao City, otherwise, we will kill without mercy. After the words fell, those wavering immortals squatted down without hesitation. And fully 20%, tens of thousands of immortals, ran away. Even though Zhou Gun is a high-grade immortal root, it can be used to suppress the immortal root. But with tens of thousands of people, it is difficult for him to suppress everyone so that they cannot move. Whether they can escape depends on whether they can run faster than their companions. But they didn't know that Zhu Yun just wanted to do the final screening. The real killer move is an ambush outside the city, a dragnet, and a trap,